Look at this picture. Look at this picture. This is a picture that was taken at the late 1800s at a cigar factory. So you could see there are a lot of gentlemen down there. They are rolling cigars. Day in, day out, they roll cigars. And there is a guy who is very well dressed and reading the newspaper. What do you think this guy's job is? So he's seated at a higher level, very well dressed, relaxed, reading the newspaper. Anyone would like to try for a chance of winning a free book? Raise your hands for yes, please. He is giving instructions, so he is probably the boss. So he's giving instruction. Okay. Anyone else would like to try? I won't say is wrong, right or wrong. Anyone? Yes, please. He's a supervisor. He's a supervisor. So he's a person who's giving instruction, or he's a supervisor. I am really pleased with UTM. You guys are really, really smart, because you both selected the wrong answer. As a matter of fact, if you look at this is another factory where ladies are rolling cigars, and still there is a guy very well dressed and reading the newspaper. This guy is not a supervisor. He is not a supervisor. This guy is a lector. L-E-C-T-O-R. That was his job. His job is to read the newspaper and entertain the people who are doing this very boring job rolling the cigar. Now, the fact that you don't even recognize this job is very simple, because this job has disappeared. It doesn't exist anymore. If anyone wants to entertain him or herself, they could put something in their ears, and then they could be entertained with the media that they are entertained with. And the reason why I started with this example is because we are probably at this time where some jobs are going to disappear. You know, if I look at what Jack Ma, one of the people who have been working with technology, artificial intelligence, building something from the ground up to a huge success, he say artificial intelligence will cause people more pain than happiness. A key social conflict will be the rise of artificial intelligence and the longer life expectancy, which will lead to an aging workforce fighting for fewer and fewer jobs. So there is that potential where we have more people living longer, but the jobs that we have are less. As a matter of fact, if you are like me and you read all these reports, it depends on whether it comes from Boston Consulting Group or McKinsey or whatever, but they are all talking about millions and millions of jobs that are going to disappear in the very near future. And this is actually a very interesting thing, specifically for an academic, because we pride ourselves with the employability of our graduates. We say, you come, become an engineer, and you are set for life. Or you become an accountant, and you will be employed for life. So what is going on? Now, there are two schools of thoughts here. One that said, just don't worry. We had an industrial revolution. The industrial revolution before, it destroyed many jobs. But guess what? It created more jobs, even better jobs. And some people are saying, this time is different. So, is this time different? This is really the question that I wanted to tackle with you, and also give you some thoughts of how I see this whole dynamic of job destruction and creation. Personally, I believe that we as humans, we bring to any endeavor, any kind of work that we do, three types of labor. So we bring our physical labor, our capability to handle and move things. we also bring our cognitive labor, our ability to think, and also bring our emotional labor. Now these appear or happen at different levels as well. So for example, if you look at the manual labor, it could move from the level of, you give me a broom and I just sweep the floor, so it requires very little skill or very little training, to something that requires high precision, dexterity, and training. Maybe something like playing a piano, or painting, or being a heart surgeon. Now, everything has the cognitive and the emotional, but there are certain jobs, the physical part of them is very important as well. If you think of the cognitive bit, which is our ability to think and memorize and so on, also it happens at different levels. The lowest level of our cognitive capability is our ability to memorize, to remember. And it moves towards our ability to analyze, optimize, and eventually towards our ability to develop critical thinking and ultimately creativity. These are all within the cognitive domain. The third domain, which is our emotional domain, this is our ability to connect, our ability to look someone in the eye and feel trusted and give them a sense of trust. It is our ability to empathize with other people, our ability to have purpose, our ability to have relationships with other people. So whatever the job I do, I would require all these things. So for example, here, I need to have my facts right, so that's pretty much cognitive. I need to be able to pace myself, see what's going in the room and notice it and try to engage you. That's probably emotional. I need to be able to speak. That's probably the physical. And I also need to maybe move to make you feel less bored. Now, we as humans, we have been on a journey. And the journey is about getting other things to do our work. We don't like to really do work, especially the physical work. So since the invention of the wheel in Mesopotamia, 3,500 years BC, we have been on a journey to create tools, to use animals to do the work on our behalf. We did very bad things. We have slaves to do the work on our behalf, but slaves are still human. And we started to replace ourselves with technology. So if you look at the shaded area, this is the part where, you know, we started to get other pieces of technology to do on our behalf. And that kept on increasing year on year, but very, very slowly, until we had around the middle of the 1800s, or early in the 1800s, we had the Industrial Revolution, where we started to have steam engines, and then the use of technology, use of machines to do the physical work on our behalf exploded. So we had the trains, we have the machines that do the weaving on our behalf, and so on and so forth. So the area that is shaded represents areas that are either have been automated or technology has been used to do, or these are things that we could automate them if we want to do that. Now, something with the Industrial Revolution started to happen. We started for the first time to have machines that actually do some of the cognitive work that we did. So we started to have some very clunky and first generation of, let's say, mechanical calculator. So that's a calculator that could add number to a number or do a multiplication, something that we just used to have the human brain to do, and now suddenly machines can do. But people say, look, we will always need the humans, not because of their muscular capability. We can do this with animals and technology. We need them for this. This is really, really important. And something happened as well. When people started to lose their jobs that are based on their physical capability, there was a mushrooming in the in education as an industry. Many universities opened. As a matter of fact, the university I represent was started in 1821 specifically to train people cognitively, train them with these skills so that they can do new work, new types of work that is based on the cognitive capabilities. And that continued to increase. So we have computers, and the computers can do a little bit of interesting work, interact with people, but we always thought this, our ability to think, will keep us into gameful employability, until something happened in 1997. And that's when Deep Blue, a computer, was able to beat the reigning human champion of chess. Now, chess is a very interesting game because we always thought that chess is something that only humans can do. Now, there is no human on earth that can beat computer in chess. Done. No way. Not only that, we started to have computers that can do medical diagnosis better than any human doctor. So now, Watson, which is an IBM computer, does medical diagnosis better than any living human doctor. So we seem to be actually challenged in the bit that is cognitive in nature, which we thought will be our way through employability through our lifetime. Now, interestingly, while we've totally lost it in the physical domain, we are progressively losing it in the cognitive domain. The machine has made very little, if at all, in the emotional domain. We don't have a machine that, while we can make the computer simulate human emotions, we don't have a machine that is self-aware. And because the machine is not self-aware, the machine cannot have intentionality. And because the machine is not intentional, it cannot be curious, for example. It cannot be creative. So if you look at the skills on the left, which what we started for, and the skills on the right. The skills on the right are things that, at least up to now, there is an agreement, general agreement, that machines cannot do. So machines cannot deliver ethics. Machines cannot have a sense of purpose and intentionality. Machines cannot build relationships. Computers cannot have awareness and empathy. Also, machines cannot do critical thinking and specifically creativity, which is sometimes, by definition, is a human endeavor. Now, you look at these skills to the right. For those of you who are educators here, and maybe for those of you who are students, we have been, for the past 20, 30 years, asked by employers who will say, can you please produce graduates who are critical thinkers, who are creatives, who can work in teams, who are ethic-bound? And we say, yeah. We will teach them mathematics, and hopefully they become critical thinkers. Or we will give them a group work. Hopefully they will become empathetic and team players. And we have been focusing on the cognitive domain so much, while the emotional domain is really neglected. And I don't blame the academics. I'm an academic myself. It's very, very difficult to develop people emotionally. Even more difficult is to measure it. We are used to say 5 times 5 equals 25. Then this is the right answer. This is very easy. I can automate it. I can be very objective. But how do I say that you have grown in purpose, or you are more empathetic, or you have become more creative, more critical thinker? So they are very, very difficult. But there is another thing about these skills. These are the skills that no machine can do. And probably these are the skills that will differentiate us from the machine. I would like to push this a little bit. Probably we evolved, or we created, depending on your system of thought and belief, so that we do these things that no other machine can do. This is what makes us humans. So this is very, very important, and I think will have a great deal of impact on what is going to happen in the age of the 4th Industrial Revolution. Now, people say, so what will the work of the future look like? I really don't know. But if you look at this matrix, you see to the right are things that require more creativity. These are the things that only humans that can do. To the left are the thing that requires more optimization, dealing with huge sets of data. We cannot do it, but the machine can do it 1,000,000 times better than us. Now, if you look at the y-axis, you have the emotional intelligence. The lower part are things that you do them, you don't need any emotional intelligence. The upper part is the thing that would require higher emotional intelligence. So you look at the right top level, or quadrant, this is where you need very high emotional intelligence and also very high creativity. These are the things that only humans can do. I think CEOs of companies will be like that. Negotiators, let's say peace negotiators, I don't think we will ever be able to give this to a machine. But at the same time, if we are thinking of what would be the new jobs, what would be the things that I see some young people behind there aspire to do, look for a job that requires both emotional intelligence and a creativity. Then you will not lose your job for a computer. Now, the jobs that have low level of emotional intelligence and also requires a lot of optimization, like probably a truck driver that drives on the highways in the United States for like hundreds of kilometers in a straight direction. I think these things are going to be automated definitely, because no point putting a human to do it. Radiologists, taking a scan or an X-ray and then deciphering it, because the machine can do it better than us. And that specific area, now delivering the news to the patient maybe will be done by a human, but writing the report, you don't really need a very highly paid human to do. Now you have the part where you need lower emotional intelligence but high creativity. This is the part where machines will be used by human to deliver that, and also when you need very little optimization but you need a lot of emotional intelligence. Let's say elderly care, for example. So these are things where the human will be working with the machine as well. Now, why I think this is very important? I think it's very important for both educators and people who are being educated now, because it gives us a framework of thinking. We need to be prepared. So instead we have the fear that the machine will take our job. We need to be able to use the machine as a tool. So the machine and technology become the slave rather than we are enslaved to it. Now, while the sense of purpose, the emotional intelligence, creativity, and critical thinking are what is going to make us humans, we are noticing a worldwide trend of a drop of purpose. Now, for those who are parents around here, if you have kids who are around age of 16, 17, teenagers, and you ask them, what do you want to do with your life? I bet the answer, 90% of the time, I don't know. I'm not sure. And this is something that we see with our students as well. I used to counsel students 20 years ago, and they come and say, I want to do engineering, but I'm not sure whether to do it in Malaysia or in the UK or in Australia. There was so much certainty in people's mind. And now what happened is a parent brings his or her child, and then they say, so can you please counsel this young man? And then you say, so what do you want to do? And they say, I don't know. I don't know what do I want to do. So there was this study that was done in the United States, a 4-year landmark study. And I really take this quote from Professor William Damon. He said, majority of young people are struggling to make the leap into adulthood, and educators, parents, and communities should make a more concerted effort to help rudderless youths find a clear direction and overarching sense of purpose. So the sense of purpose, something that differentiates us from the machine, is something that is dropping. This is not criticism to the youth. This is what is happening in life by virtue of the economic progress, by virtue of the kind of technologies that we have. This is something that, this is just the reality of the matter. There is another trend, very, very worrying but true. Mental health is becoming a global issue. You can read and I won't read from the slide. So you read the reports from the World Health Organization, and it's telling you that depression and and suicide is on the rise. Suicide is the #1 killer for male under 40 in the UK, even more than car accidents. Can you believe that? Last year, 95 people in British universities took their own lives. Very, very, nice young people who, for depression and for whatever reason, they actually committed suicide. Empathy is dropping among the undergraduates, and then this is very well documented. So we assume that by education you become more empathetic, you are able to assume the point of view of an opponent or an opposing figure. Wrong. We actually, through education, make people more entrenched in their own thought process, and there is now research to prove that. This was just earlier in the month. Alarming spike in mental health issues warns the Malaysian Mental Health Association. So this is something that is happening. So let me just repeat this. What makes us humans, what will give us jobs, will be our ability to be emotionally intelligent and creative and have a sense of purpose. But the trend is the youth are struggling with a sense of purpose, and also we are all struggling with depression and mental health issues. So this is a reality. Now, what do people do about that? So a country like United Arab Emirates, they decided that they need a Ministry of Happiness. And this is actually the Minister of Happiness, Ahud al-Rumi, where the President of the state, announcing that she has been appointed as a minister. University of Buckingham to become Europe's first positive university. So this university has dedicated itself not only to train engineers and accountants, but also to train them in positive education. So there is a lot of positive reaffirmation, taking care of things like mental health and so on. Positive psychology, which is a course that is offered by Harvard, was the most popular course in the history of Harvard. The number of people who took that course was the biggest number in the history of the entire university. So this is something that is very, very important. Now here comes my involvement with this topic. 5 years ago, I sort of detected that we are unable to develop these skills into our students. Things like emotional intelligence and being able to have the empathy to deal with, with the points of view and feelings of other people. So I decided to offer to my engineering students a course in emotional intelligence. And I decided to make it available for free, openly, as a massive open online course online. And I thought maybe 150 people would find it helpful. And that course has changed my life, because since then I had actually now even more than 8,000 students taking the course from more than 150 different countries. The course is still running as we speak as a self-paced kind of course. So how did I teach emotional intelligence? As an engineer, you need to sort of deconstruct something before you can put it out there. So I looked for Daniel Goleman model for emotional intelligence, and he said that emotional intelligence is about 4 things. So it's about self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management. Now these are the top line, but now at least I can grasp the notion of emotional intelligence. We first need to be aware of ourselves. We need to know who we are, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and so on. Then we need to be able to be aware of the energy in the room, in the team, in the organization, in the nation, on the street, and then be able to manage ourselves and our emotions. Now, I will go through this very, very quickly because I really have some stories that I wanted to tell you. So, how do you teach emotional intelligence? First, we need to teach every human being how does the brain work. Because if we are here about developing our mental capability, and interestingly, even emotional capabilities are processed in the head, not in the heart. We need everyone to understand how the brain works. And interestingly, even a 2-hour class about how the brain works will help you become a better educator and a better learner. Then there is something that's called the brain-body connection. You know, we always think that we feel happy, we smile, and we feel sad and we frown. But it has been established beyond doubt that if we are feeling a bit down and we artificially smile like that, we will feel better. And we know now there is something called embodied cognition. If we do like that for a short while, we will feel more confident. So these are things that young people need to know because they don't know about it. Then self-management, being able to manage our impulses and our desires is something that can be taught. So this is something that people need to know, that their ability to manage themselves, to manage their time, to manage their resources is something that can be taught. It's something that should be taught. There are online activities. One of them is what I call brain rewiring. So brain rewiring is about mentioning the 5 things that you are grateful for on a daily basis. There's also My Emotions Today, which is reporting your emotions and assigning words for them on a daily basis. Developing a mission in life and having someone to be your mission partner and check on you every week and just tell you, I believe in you, I think you are going to do it. I also gave the students e-certificates when they complete the course, and I give them e-badges when they do something good. So this was really the course. And then the stuff that happened, one of the things that I do in the course, I ban the P word. The P word is the word PROBLEM. So you can't mention this in my course. And if it comes into your thought or into your emotions, you need to replace it with the word opportunity. So this is another way of rewiring your brain. And this is one of the students who took the course. He's from Chile. And because of the course, according to him, he was able to climb a mountain. And you see, he sent me this picture, don't say the P word, at the top of the mountain. I didn't even ask him for that, but this is an example of the things that has been happening. Now, the gentleman to the left, his name is Paul Koba, he's from Tanzania, and according to him, he got buried because of my course. And according to him he thought that he is not attractive, and that's why he was unable to speak to the lady that he loves for quite some time. And because of the course, he say, after lecture 3, I was able to go and speak to her, and guess what? We are now married. So this is. I mean, I was just like, what did I do? Now, this is Robert Newman. He's a chief executive officer of a small technology company in the United States, who again took the course, and then he is using now some of the techniques that we describe in the book with his company, and also he gives some classes at the university. Now, this is one of my favorite. This is Bashirat, and she was in depression after her husband and her father were killed in an accident. And then she took on the course, and she now become a person who actually help other women deal with trauma. And she even wrote a book, and her book is From Pain to Purpose. And she's carrying my book, which is Shoot the Boss, next to it, and she sent me this picture. So the stuff that we have done apparently is working. Now, this is a picture of the executive team in my university, and they are pledging not to use the P word. So whenever the P word comes in their language, they will use the word opportunity. And if they fail, they have to pay 1 ringgit for every P word they mention. And in the insert there, this is a small fund. We call it the Opportunity Fund, where every time any one of us utters the P word, we will be putting 1 ringgit so that we can monitor each other's language as we move on. Now, we noticed that, especially after SPM, the students leave and they are really lacking self-esteem, lacking confidence, and lacking that sense of purpose. So we developed a program that we called the Youth Transformation Program. It's a 2-week program where the students will be immersed into positive education. They are taught gratitude. And the idea of, we know gratitude, we think we know gratitude, but we actually don't. So if someone says, thank you, often you will say, thank you for what? So we taught the students how to say thank you in the right way, which is thank you for what? How did that what help you achieve your goals? What sacrifice that the person that you are thanking had to do? And eventually, what character strength that person has exhibited. So after the 2 weeks, we were amazed by some people who were unable to speak to even a friend or a stranger. They were able to give a speech to 200 people in a room. And I'm going to share a short video of 4 of these students who took the Youth Transformation Program, showing gratitude to their parents.
Hey Ma. Hi Dick.
You always wanted to tell her, but very hard.
I'm about to read something to you, and here it goes.
I love letter. Dear Mama and Papa, there are not enough words to describe how thankful I am to you.
Thank you for carrying me and guiding me all the way.
I feel incredibly grateful to have you as my mom.
I bet you never expected this when I told you to attend my graduation.
As your daughter, I can do so many things to make you be happy and be proud of me.
I know I don't show how grateful I am enough, but I really am.
As we're a typical Asian family and we rarely express our affection towards each other.
From the time I couldn't speak properly at a young age and being a very shy little girl, to being someone who is confident and very determined to achieve anything.
I'm grateful that you want me to have a better future.
I like to tell you that you really mean a lot to me, even though I don't show it much. You're like my strength and pillar in life.
Everything about you is amazing. First, thank you for never give up on our family or on me.
Thank you for working so hard to be able to send me to university, and for that, I will never be able to repay you.
Mommy, I like to say that you are my superwoman, my best friend, and the best mom in the entire universe.
You will still encourage me and tell me to never give up.
I like to thank you for fully supporting me in whatever I do and letting me explore by my own instead of limiting my potential.
Although I had made many mistakes, you will always forgive me. I am grateful for your kindness.
Without you, there is no me, and I would certainly not be reading this out loud to you right now. But because of your unconditional love and support, I was able to muster up all my courage to read this in front of you.
From day one, you have been my support system. Thank you for the thousands and thousands of dollars you and Dad spent on my education.
So Ma, I just want to say thank you for always being my home therapist 24/7.
I love you, Mommy, forever and always. Love, Ellie.
You too.
Oh, just for touching.
I have shown this video around the world. and it's very emotional. But it's really about the action that we would like all of us to take right after we watch this. Many people come to me and say, you know, while I was watching this, I sent a message to my mother or to someone that I wanted to just thank them for something. As a matter of fact, one of the ladies, the mother, she said, I have never said thank you to my own mother. And thank you for giving us this opportunity, because now I'm feeling so lucky that my mother is still with us, and I'm going to, go and thank her in an appropriate manner. Now, I have a dream. And the dream is to change something in my university. So I have sort of power over it. Now, if you go to my university and you ask a student, what do you do? The students will think that you are asking them about their course. So they will tell you proudly, I'm doing actuarial science, or I'm doing mechanical engineering, or I'm doing business and finance. And that's brilliant. People draw so much sense of identity from the work that they do. But here is my dream. You go to my university, to the main plaza, and you ask someone, what do you do? And she looks you in the eye and she says, before I graduate, I'm going to plant 1 million trees. Because these trees, throughout their lifetime, are going to remove 100,000 tons of CO2 from the atmosphere. And by the way, I'm doing chemical engineering. Now, the first part I call the impact statement. And I've been toying with this for probably 2 years now. And the idea was, how do we introduce this into education? And we agreed in my university that the way to do it is to start with ourselves. So we, as educators, we need to have an impact statement. What is our impact statement? And how do we write an impact statement? So now, 30% of the staff in my university have developed their own impact statement. And the process takes 2 days. And I went to each and every workshop where the staff developed their impact statement, just to signal how important is this. This picture is actually a picture taken from one of these workshops where this is what they are carrying is called a life map, and at the end of it is the impact statement. I would like to share my impact statement with you. It's still a draft, so I appreciate any feedback to improve it, but please indulge me, I want to read it. I am a storyteller. My purpose is to help others tell empowering stories about the world we live in. I dedicate my life to supporting youth be their best as they identify their purpose, as they identify their impact, harness their talent, and become purposeful individuals. This is how I see my role. And the dream is, as we move on, every one of us will put this impact statement on a t-shirt, and we will wear it so that people know that we have, or at least, and the person who hasn't written his or her impact statement yet, maybe wears a t-shirt with an empty box and saying, I'm still searching. So it's okay, because it's really a process that takes a bit of time. Starting this September, every undergraduate students who have joined my university will be developing their own impact statement. So we've developed a program, we called it the Empower program, and the idea is the students will go on a 4-year journey, and the first one is about knowing and leading self. The second stage is about leading teams. The third stage is about leading communities. And the fourth stage is about leading enterprise. Now, I do have a 2-minute video about the Empower program. Do I have time, or do you want me to skip? Yeah, that's for the video, huh? Okay, so this is actually a sort of a promo for the how excited and how happy I am to be here. Honestly, you are the best that humanity has to offer. You are the latest model. You are the youth of the nation. You are the people who are going to make this world a better place. The Empower program is a program that goes in 4 stages. It starts by knowing and leading self. It moves towards leading teams, leading communities, and eventually leading enterprise. It introduces the students to activities. Through them, they can define their impact, write their own impact statement, and be clear of their own purpose and what brings meaning to their life.
The Empower session, I actually feel very empowered, and he has this thing where he tends to make us feel like we can do anything and there's nothing that we cannot do.
Today was a reminder for me and remind us that emotional intelligence is one of the priorities in our life other than IQ.
This is my first session, and Professor Mushtaq made it very enlightening to know how to control emotional intelligence and eventually in work life and how to be a productive member of society.
Research has shown that emotional intelligence and also mental resilience are the skills that we will need to succeed in this century, especially with disruptive technology and automation. And we are on the front foot. We are preparing our students for that future. Be empowered. So let me recap. Change is the only constant. We have been saying this, but this is really, really true this time. So we need to always be able to reinvent ourselves. We always be able have the resilience to deal with failure, because we will have failures in life, and we need to train our youth to be able to deal with that. Emotional intelligence and creativity is our last hope. There is no choice. We have to develop a way to teach them. Education 4.0 will be about academic excellence. Absolutely, we will always teach engineering and accounting to the best level, but we need also to develop emotional intelligence, creativity, purpose and impact, and also happiness. This is the most interesting time in our history. We are faced with so many challenges, but in no other time in our history as a species we had the tools to deal with all the challenges that we have. It requires that we make a decision. This is a picture of me walking with my father probably 40 years ago. At that time, I have never thought that I will be in a place that's called Malaysia, in Johor Bahru, speaking to all of you. Never came across my mind. And really the story that I want to tell you is life is so messy and is so difficult to predict. And the journey that we'll go through is not something that we can plan and map very, very accurately. But we always can make choices, and the choices will eventually make the ultimate, destiny that we are going to. Now, the reason I show you this is because just a month ago, my university gave an honorary degree to the Sultan of Selangor. So this picture here of me in a kilt to the left, went on social media, and a friend of mine asked me, when you were a child in Baghdad, in Iraq, have you ever dreamt of being in Malaysia, walking next to Malaysian royalty in a Scottish kilt? And I have never, ever dreamt of that. With this, I want you to dream big, be different, and have fun, and be empowered. Thank you very much.